a start. We still got 3 games. It's a start. We know it's a 4-game season, and then tonight was 1. Obviously, we got a great road test next weekend, and we got to get prepared for another opportunity.
When Doug Peterson said they got a great road test next weekend, it's like, wait, are they playing like the Steelers in Pittsburgh? They're playing Washington on the road. But look, it's the way they played recently.
It's going to be a test. Yeah.
The way they've played recently, yes, every game is going to be a test, because the bottom line is this. The Eagles were down 14 points in the first half to a team that had lost 8 games in a row. And But for the Eagles' heroics, it wouldn't have gone to 9. So the Eagles find a way to win. I mean, this is amazing to me. This division is so bad this year at a time when the rest of the NFC is so good. That's what makes it so glaring. You've got one group of 4 teams in the NFC that is horrendous. The other 3 groups of 4 teams, pretty darn good, especially 2 of them, the North and the West. And the Eagles, to their credit, stayed the course. Yes, they fell behind. And yes, Eli Manning and Darius Slayton looking like a very promising connection for the future. The only problem is Eli Manning's not going to be there beyond the next 3 weeks. It was looking good for the Giants. It was clicking. It was working. And it was not looking good for the Eagles. They got booed off the field at halftime. What a shocker that would happen. But they did pull it together in the second half. Carson Wentz, for the first time in his career, Chris, wins an overtime game. And he did not have much help around him. Nelson Aguilar was injured. Alshon Jeffrey left with a lower leg injury, which very well may be a torn Achilles tendon. They had guys out of position. They had Boston Scott in at running back for a big chunk of the second half, and he had over 120 yards from scrimmage on the game. I mean, it worked out very well for the Eagles. They kept pushing. They kept plugging. They tied it up late. And then, didn't it seem to you like on the first drive of overtime, the Giants were just ready to go home?
Well, yeah.
Like the Eagles, it's just like, that's it, we're done. We got kind of a tie here. We had 17 and they had 17 at the end of regulation, and that's good enough for us.
Well, yeah, I do think you're right about that. The New York Giants in the second half, I mean, their defense was on the field the whole second half. So I think when overtime came, the Eagles win the toss and get the ball, they were exhausted. I mean, they were beaten into the ground at that point. The offense of the Giants just fell apart in the second half. But, getting back to what you said about the Eagles, man, there's so many things to say. First off, Carson Wentz, good for him. Again, he's taken a lot of criticism there in Philadelphia, and I don't think it's really justified. I don't. I mean, again, there's just not a lot of talent around him. I don't know what anybody expects. Everybody tells me, he needs to play better. He needs to play better. And, yeah, I know he can play a little bit better, sure. But it's not like he's missing wide open receivers all over the field. I mean, we didn't see any replays last night or anything that said, oh, wow, yeah, they missed that. He missed that guy. He missed that guy. Every throw he throws is into the tightest coverage you've ever seen. And if he doesn't put it right below the guy's chin, they can't do anything. Having said that, it was really good to see him battle. I don't know if I have great respect for the Eagles, but man, I don't know if I want to watch them in the playoffs right now. I don't. I mean, I just, it almost makes me want to root for Dallas just because at least they got some star power and some potential. But, man, I mean, what do you say? The defense, crappy in the first half. Offense, even though they got it together in the second half, it was, just a fight. I mean, it was so grueling and hard, everything they did. And I don't see how they can make any run in the playoffs. And that's why that's just a little disappointing to watch a team like that get in if they do get in.
And you got to give them credit because they got the ball in the fourth quarter. They started the drive inside their 20. There was a sack on the first play.
Right.
They had a long way to go, and they just kept plugging away and plugging away. And it looked like they were going to time it just right, that they would score the game, tie it up right at the end of regulation. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, you're going to leave the Giants with enough time to try to go down and win this in regulation. Of course, they're the Giants, and they weren't able to move the ball very effectively throughout the second half, and definitely not on that last opportunity. So it all worked out perfectly for the Eagles. They stepped up when they needed to, and they won a game. It's just critical at this point for the Cowboys or the Eagles to win a game. And now the Eagles have Washington on the road, the Cowboys at home, and then they're at the Giants to end the season. The Cowboys have the Rams this weekend. The Cowboys could lose and the Eagles win. The Eagles have a 1-game lead going into that Week 16 showdown.
Sure.
That could happen.
Yeah.
That could happen. Either way, I feel like Week 6, nothing else matters other than Week 16, Cowboys at Eagles. Whoever wins that game is going to win the division. And if it's the Cowboys, if they go into that game tied and the Cowboys win, then the Cowboys will have it clinched, and they can rest their starters for Week 17, and they can be ready for whoever rolls in the wild card round. And wouldn't it be fitting that whoever wins this awful division ends up parlaying home field advantage into beating the 5 seed, whoever the 5 seed may be?
Well, it would be crazy. It really would be. And again, as of watching the Eagles the last few weeks and watching last night, I don't see how they could do it. I mean, come on. I follow football for a living. I'm obsessed. I had to sit there with a few guys on the field going, oh, wait, who is that? Oh, yeah, I remember him from the preseason. Oh, yeah, I kind of remember him when he came out in the draft. I mean, they got no names out there right now. And then the defense, again, the first half, I mean, what do you say about the defense? Let's come out with the game plan to make it the easiest on the quarterback who hasn't played in 11 months. Let's just play man-to-man every play so they can throw a slant and a go route and just do that. Don't make the guy who hasn't played actually think or have to worry about anything. Make it for the guy that's played for 16 years. Make it as easy as possible for him to get back, like it's practice. I mean, that's basically what they did in the first half. And credit to Eli Manning. He came out and was smart, got the ball out of his hand, threw some accurate passes. Darius Slayton is good. But the second half, the Eagles had a different approach finally. I mean, finally. I don't know what was going on. It's their only chance is to throw the ball to Darius Slayton in one-on-one coverage. And the Eagles are like, here's a silver platter. We're going to let you throw it to him. And then when we do double him, we're going to do it so stupidly that he's just going to run by both of us there. And of course, I think they benched Ronald Darby in the second half. And the game plan at least changed that way to where the defense stymied the Giants' offense. And the Eagles' offense kind of got it going.
And with only 12 minutes at halftime, you don't have an extended opportunity to get everything on the same page and make the changes you need to go into the second half and get things done. And the Eagles did get booed off the field. And they if I'd have been there as an Eagles fan, I'd have been booing as loudly as I could. It was a horrible production in the first half. But Doug Peterson, here he is explaining that at halftime, there was no yelling, there was no screaming. It was just focus on doing what they had to do to turn this thing around. Here's Peterson.
You guys think I'm crazy, but it's not a shouting match in there. We're not throwing stuff and getting all up in arms at each other. We're coming together. We're figuring it out. We're putting a solution together. We talked about, hey, defense, big possession to start, 3 and out, and they did. And offensively, it took us a few series, but we finally got it going, and it's just a matter of that.
Carson Wentz had a bad first half, second half in overtime, 22 of 31, 228 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And look, I have to give the Eagles credit, and I'm trying to find hope that if they do qualify for the playoffs, there's reason to actually watch the game and think that they have a chance of winning and won't lose 52-10 to the Seahawks or the 49ers.
Well, yeah. Well, what's the hope? I don't know. I mean, again, that's where I just get into it. I really, I ask you, what do you think? Who do you want to see? Right now, I mean, I don't want to see the Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't see any of them.
Well,
I don't want to see the Eagles or the Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys are at least
take away the playoff berth.
A live reality drama show, the Dallas Cowboys, and have stars all over the field. I'd rather watch that than watch the Eagles right now. I mean, just everything it's just impossible. It's tough. They don't have a receiver, Mike. They don't know. I'm not sure they have a receiver on the field right now that runs much faster than you and me. I'm not even joking. And then now Alshon Jeffrey, who was not fast to begin with, he's off the field. Zach Ertz is the only guy that can catch a ball consistently, and he's not exactly explosive either. Wherever he catches it, you can kind of just spot the ball. He's going to go down right there. The running backs, okay, they found a little juice there finally at the end of the football game. The defense is all over the place every week. I mean, right now, yeah, I'm going to root for the Cowboys just for good TV watching and as a football fan. I respect the hell out of the Eagles and Doug Peterson. But, the product on the field is just not up to par right now, and they do not have it going. And I'd rather watch the Cowboys in the wild card weekend than the Philadelphia Eagles.
And for that reason, that the NFL generally is hoping the Cowboys win that division because they're going to draw millions regardless of whether they limp in at 7-9, right? And it is a more interesting team to watch. I agree with you. And also, look, it's a given that Jason Garrett's going to be gone after the season unless he really does pull one hell of a rabbit out of his hat. And if they don't make it to the playoffs, he's going to be fired at the same time 4 or 5 other guys are fired. So I guess you push it back a week and you have a news cycle where you can focus on what the Cowboys are going to do next and the press conferences and all of that. So it comes after the wild card round. I guess from a media business standpoint, it's better to stretch that out. So I agree with you. For selfish purposes, we're rooting for the Cowboys.
Right.
Although we've seen the Eagles each of the last 2 seasons become a different team when we write them off. In the playoffs 2 years ago, they got the underdog masks out. They were underdogs at home in 2 playoff games. They were underdogs in the Super Bowl. They won all 3 games. And last year, they were done. They were 4-6, and they ended up making it to the playoffs and almost making it back to the NFC Championship game. They had the Saints on the ropes early but couldn't hold on. So I feel like the Cowboys are the more interesting team in the wild card round, but I feel like the Eagles have a better chance of winning because you get Doug Peterson and company into a single elimination setting like that. Who cares if we're 7-9?
Right.
They know how to win games they're not supposed to win, Chris.
Yeah, they do. There's no doubt. There's an art to that. That you've said it a lot of times. The ultimate backs against the wall type of football team. And man, did they really wait till they were crammed in a corner last night? I mean, holy crap. I mean, not only was it a must-win game, but then they're down 17-3 to a team that, like you said, hadn't won in 8 weeks. But I just think it's a little different than the last 2 years. I do, just because the health of the team is just not the same. Last year they got healthy right at the right time when Nick Foles took over, and that allowed them and propelled them to go to a little bit of a playoff run and have the upset in Chicago. The year before, come on, they were the best team in football, and it was just Carson Wentz that went down. This year, I just don't know where they can generate the offense. The defense is so hot and cold and all over the place. Really, I thought the defense had gotten it together until the Miami game, and then of course last night in the first half. But I hear what you're saying, but I can't imagine that they can replicate that magic we've seen the last 2 years.
Do you expect the organization to give you a chance to finish out this season regardless?
Yeah, I do, but we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Got a lot of tough ones for me today.
Well, Pat, that's what happens when you lose 9 games in a row, tying a franchise record. And the question is, will he be around to try to break the record on Sunday when the Dolphins come to town? I think he will be, Chris. I don't get the impression he's going to be fired now. Maybe part of the punishment is you have to go ahead and finish this one out and see if you can get to 12 consecutive losses and extend the franchise record 3 games beyond what it previously was. But, it's almost a foregone conclusion now that this is not sustainable.
That's right.
The question is, when does John Mara and Steve Tisch decide? And Steve Tisch has already said end of the season is when they're going to take it up. But this is bad. This is bad. And last night, I think the fact that they were up and they blew the lead makes it worse than the Garden Variety loss.
Yeah, I totally agreed, and totally agreed in the fact that, I think it's already, in the books. I do. I think Pat Shurmur will not be the Giants head coach when the season ends. They're going to let him finish it out, certainly. I don't even think that's a question anymore. I think the question now is Dave Gettleman around still as the GM to go along with it, or do they totally clean house? I mean, that to me is the next thing. But as far as Pat Shurmur's run, I do think it's over, Mike.
Gettleman's best play would be selling Ron Rivera as aggressively as he can because he worked well with Rivera in Carolina, and that would maybe be the way to keep Gettleman in place. Otherwise, he could be gone as well.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.